Good day, fellow Biafrans. This is Elijah Sulis, the international lobbyist for the Biafra Republic Government in Exile, represented by His Excellency, Acting Prime Minister Ogochukwu Nekere. It has been a while. Sorry, it's taken a bit for me to do another video. I've been very busy the past month, but I'm returning to doing my videos and will be doing so with more frequency. I think this episode will be one that'll be extremely helpful for all of you. And this episode will be focused on an important topic, which is explaining or clarifying the roadmap to Biafra. One of the major issues that I realized that I anticipated before the convention in Finland, and we saw in the aftermath of the convention, is that unfortunately there was not a complete understanding amongst some Biafrans of the purpose of the convention, understanding what is the United States of Biafra, and understanding what the Biafra government is doing. I had concerns even before the November 29th to December 2nd convention in Finland. And I expressed these to Simon at the time, that some Biafrans really didn't understand the meaning of December 2nd or United States of Biafra or the processes that the Biafra government was doing, and that the Biafra government needed to do more to explain that process to Biafrans. And Simon did, in his speeches and such, touch upon some of these topics, but it was clear that many still lacked understanding. For example, after the convention, I received some very angry messages that showed this lack of understanding. Some Biafrans attacking me, saying, "Oh, don't you know we're a nation now?" Even some attacking me, saying, "Don't you know we're a government now?" Which, again, doesn't make any sense. The Biafra Republic Government in Exile was created in the spring of 2023. So are those who were saying that the Biafra government before the convention wasn't a government? So it shows that there's a complete lacking of understanding. So I'm hoping that through this communication, we can bridge that gap and help get clarity for those who don't have that clarity. Because I always had the concern, even before the convention, that some of the Biafrans who didn't understand exactly what the government is doing to achieve the goal of nationhood would have their own emotional fantasies that after December 2nd, on December 3rd, Biafra would descend from the sky and that's it. So I'm going to put this in such a way that's easy to understand for all Biafrans, and even those out there who are the most clueless will understand the process. So, what is the goal, right? When we talk about United States of Biafra, what is the United States of Biafra? Our goal is to establish a Biafran nation state, one that has full control of its territory, exercises full sovereignty, and as a nation is therefore recognized by the international community. How do we go about that? An acronym that I'm going to use that's going to make things very easy for you to understand is what I call the 3 R's. The 3 R's. The 3 R's being, number 1, redeclaration. Number 2, restoration. Number 3, recognition. The convention in Finland from November 29th to December 2nd was only one part of a multi-tiered process. The part of the problem is I think some Biafrans got so emotionally attached to December 2nd, emotionally attached to the convention, that in their own mind, they put everything else aside and they thought that the declaration itself was the end-all be-all, that we declare Biafra and that's it. Simon never said that. The government never said that. But I think some of you, being so emotional and not really thinking logically and rationally and using your reasoning, came to some different conclusion, ignoring a lot of the things that Simon was telling you because of your own emotions and what have you. The purpose of the redeclaration is to make it clear to the international community that we are pursuing the establishment of a Biafran nation state. After the declaration, or the redeclaration, from November 29th to December 3rd, with the declaration of Biafra on December 2nd, the next goal is to pursue full restoration, because right now the Biafran forces have some control of the territory, but they don't have full control of Biafra land territory. So the next goal is to achieve full sovereignty, which means full territorial control of Biafra by the Biafran forces on the ground. Finally, after you have a restoration where you are able to exercise full sovereignty, you've declared your intention to establish the Biafra nation state, the last step is recognition. Why is recognition important? If you don't have recognition, you're simply a self-governing territory. Case in point being Somaliland. They exercise full sovereignty, they have full control of their territory, they have their own government, they've had multiple elections, transitions of power, and so forth. But because they're not recognized as a country by any country in the international community, they are not able to have the full benefits of sovereignty. For example, because they're not recognized as a country by the international community, whether it's the US or the United Nations, other countries, they're not able to fully benefit, for example, from the international financial system. They're not able to get into certain programs, so on and so forth. That is why Somaliland is very aggressively pursuing its recognition. It's been undergoing an extremely intense lobbying campaign in the United States, and they have a lot of momentum. There's a very good chance that the Trump administration will recognize Somaliland as the newest nation in Africa. And Somaliland has offered very good terms to the United States in terms of military deals, defense deals, access to military bases and ports, etc. So that is what we're trying to achieve, and I think the way to envision it is, and another attack which never really made sense. And by the way, this is not personal to me. If Simon was not detained, some of these emotional Biafrans who didn't have any understanding of what I just explained to you would have attacked Simon in anger or in their emotions, not understanding what any of this is. So again, I'm not offended anyway. I know a lot of these attacks came out of emotion of not understanding the dynamics of how we're going to achieve Biafra. But it's our job as, let's say, a government or me as a lobbyist to explain this to you so you have that proper understanding and can have a conceptual basis for knowing exactly what it is that we're trying to achieve in our efforts. So that's really the key is to understand the 3 R's. I think I'm putting it in such a way that everyone out there is able to comprehend how it is and what it is that we're trying to achieve. And another analogy I'll use that'll be very helpful for you is, some people who were very upset with me after the convention, or not upset with me, but just upset generally, and then they externalize that anger into lashing out at me and other people, is I've received a lot of comments saying, "Oh, Elias, we're no longer Briggy, we are USB." Let me explain this to you. United States of Biafra is the destination. What is United States Biafra? It's a fully established Biafran nation state that exercises full sovereignty, that has restored the control of the territory, and that is now recognized by the international community. That is the goal. USB is the goal. Briggy is the vehicle to get to the goal. Briggy is the vehicles, like Briggy is the car, USB is the destination. You're going to the destination. And for example, you have people in the other camp of Dr. Orbawezi who've seized on this and have weaponized this attack of, oh, we're USB, we're no longer Briggy. But they registered this USB as a nonprofit entity in Georgia, and they're all still living in exile. So, that doesn't really make any sense. What USB is what I explained to you, is when Biafra is a fully established nation state recognized by the international community that has restored control of the territory. Just because we had the declaration of December 2nd doesn't mean that Briggy is somehow dissolved. Briggy will not be dissolved until we've at least achieved full restoration. Briggy will still continue to exist as the vehicle to achieve Biafran liberation. Once the territory is restored, then we could look at transitioning from Briggy to, let's say, a transitional government, a provisional government, so on and so forth. So I think part of the problem, and I do think this is an area where, frankly, the government could have done better, is that there's so much hype and so much promotion of December 2nd, December 2nd, December 2nd. There was not enough education about what December 2nd means, what United States of Biafra means, what all this means. And because of that lack of education, and because people were so emotionally hyped up, after December 2nd, people just became emotionally disoriented when they didn't see Biafra falling from the sky. But again, that's not something Simon ever said, but I think people just jumped into all sorts of conclusions based off of their emotions. I'll give you an example. One of my Biafran friends told me that she knew a gentleman who's a driver who has a truck, and this person told my friend, after December 2nd, Biafra is going to basically descend from the heavens. I'm going to sell everything that I have in the West, including my truck and everything, and I'm going to move back to Biafra land a month later in January of 2025. And my friend had to explain to this gentleman, okay, just because we've had the declaration doesn't mean we've, after that, yet have achieved full sovereignty. What airport are you going to use? Isn't the airport that you're going to use to get over there into Biafra land still controlled by Nigeria? What about the village that you're from? And explained it to him and talked him out of this crazy thing he was thinking about. And explained to him that you can only move back to Biafra once Biafra is at least fully restored, then that's when you should go back. And was able to talk this gentleman out of this harebrained idea that he had. But that's the problem, is unfortunately some of the people in our movement are not able to think, are not able to reason, don't have any understanding. So I think it's our job to help educate, to help enlighten Biafrans about all these different dynamics. So I think this has been a cause of much confusion which has then been manipulated and exploited. So I think with me explaining this and breaking it down in a very simple way that I hope all Biafrans can understand, this will eliminate a lot of the confusion. Again, just think about it as the 3 R's. The 3 R's. Redeclaration, restoration, recognition. Redeclaration, restoration, recognition. This is a serious undertaking. Biafra is not going to descend from the heavens, descend from the skies. We're going to have to put in a lot of work in multiple vectors in order to achieve it. The problem is, unfortunately, some of our Biafran friends, because of emotion, they fly off the handle, they go into fantasies, and when the fantasy doesn't match up with the reality, they become extremely angry, they become disoriented, and they start lashing out at the people who are around them. Whether it's me, if Simon was not detained, I'm sure there were Biafrans who, after December 2nd, would have started attacking him. So, I know it's not personal, I know it comes out of emotion, but you, as a member of the Biafran independence movement, as a supporter of the Biafra government, you have a responsibility to educate yourself or allow yourself to be educated by others so you have an understanding of what it is we're doing and what it is we want to achieve. So I'm hoping that this provides at least some level of clarification, because there have been I've seen such confusion over what I think are frankly very basic concepts. So I hope this helps. And I would encourage you, because I know Biafrans talk to each other, that you can further discuss what I've laid out here in your video forums, in your chat forums, and your Twitter Space forums. Have further discussions about what I laid out here. So I hope this is helpful. I'll be putting out many more episodes on a regular basis from now on, but I think this will provide a lot of clarity and be helpful in terms of alleviating some of this confusion, which has then led to irrational emotions and disorientation and things that don't make any sense. So thank you very much, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon.